Now here on Magnetic Island, there's an abundance of wildlife. You've got a bunch of wallabies, a very strong population of koalas here on the island, as well as hundreds of species of birds. Also some reptiles and even echidnas are here on the island. So I'm setting out. Hopefully I'll be able to find something to photograph. Today's looking pretty nice. It's an overcast day, and since it's the middle of the day, it's a good day to shoot because the sun's not too bright, causing harsh shadows. So, yeah, let's go see what we can find. Alright, so I managed to find a spider. It's pretty cool, a decent size, about maybe 1.5 inches from the tip of the leg to the tip of the leg. So I think I'm going to set up my camera and try and take some images. So ultimately I would want a macro lens in order to photograph the spider, but my long lens works just fine. I just have to make sure I'm 9 feet away because it won't focus if it's closer than 9 feet. So I'm at a good distance, but still zoomed in to 550 millimeters. I'm still able to get the spider fully in frame. And it is looking pretty nice. We've got some nice light now breaking through the clouds. So I'm shooting at 1/320th of a second, f6.3, ISO 400. And what I'm doing, because since I am shooting at kind of a low shutter speed and the spider's not really moving, I'm using a 5-second timer. So I'm getting my composition set, everything ready to go. Then I'll hit the shutter and do the timer. That way the camera's not shaking and it's sharp. Because with the long lens, even with the sturdy tripod and everything, even just touching the shutter button will cause camera shake and cause the images to be a little bit blurry. And I also had to manual focus on it just because it's such a small subject and the plane of focus, even at 6.3, is so small. I had to look at the viewfinder and manually focus it so I can again make sure that I get a sharp image. So I've got a wallaby right in frame right here. So normally these wallabies here always get really afraid and never let me get close, or if they find out that I'm here they'll run away. But this one's being very docile. So it is a little bit of challenging conditions to shoot today because it's not quite overcast like it was yesterday. So the highlights are very bright. And also it's challenging shooting through the forest because there's just so many branches and leaves and weeds in the way. It's hard to get focus, so I'm doing a lot of manual focus. So not all of my images are coming out sharp, but a few of them are. It's still wonderful to be able to spend time with these animals here. And it's hard too because the wallabies have white on their face, and when they go into the sun, the sunlight makes it real bright and causes all that to get blown out. So I gotta make sure that I'm underexposing so I can recover those highlights later in post-processing. So as I was over there photographing the wallabies, I noticed something on the corner of my eye, and I saw it was a koala running on the ground. Now this is very rare because most of the times, especially during the day, you see koalas up in trees sleeping. So with this one active, I kind of ran after it a bit with my camera. and I was able to get a couple photographs. I don't know if any of them turned out because it's very harsh light because it's kind of in the middle of the day now. So the highlights are very harsh and the shadows are very harsh. It's very high contrast. But yeah, it turned out to be a mama koala with a baby, so it's very interesting. And right now they're up in the tree in front of me and they're feeding. Again, this is very rare because you very rarely see them feeding during the day. At least I have when I've been here on the island. Yeah, in about 2 months of me out here photographing koalas, I've never seen them really this active during the day. So this is a pretty special occasion. So all I'm doing now is just kind of moving around where the koala is sitting, just to try different compositions and just different lighting to see what works the best. So the koalas seem to get a little bit tired. Now they're closing their eyes and taking a nap. So I'm going to hang out here for probably around another hour. I still have several hours until sunset, but hopefully the light will start getting a bit better. And that they stay up here and then maybe become a little bit more active towards sunset. So every now and then the baby will look over at me and I gotta make sure I'm quick so I can try and take a picture just while he's looking. So for settings, what I'm trying to do is just keep the aperture open as much as possible because I want that nice blur in the image. And also the shutter speed I'm just adjusting as necessary. And the ISO I'm jumping between 800 and 400. I don't usually like to go too high with the ISO, but I do need to use a pretty fast shutter speed, otherwise the images won't be sharp. So I'm willing to sacrifice a little bit of noise for sharpness. So ISO 800 isn't too bad, and my camera here can kind of handle that pretty well without introducing too much noise. So we're starting to get some really nice light on the koalas, because as the sun's setting though, it's creeping its way up the tree, so the light's not going to last long at all. They are starting to eat again, and they're kind of climbing up the tree more, so it is getting a little bit challenging to photograph them, because there's a lot more branches and leaves in the way. So I kind of just move around to the left and the right and try and find a clear spot to where I can shoot them. So I'm here today on the Arcadia to Nelly Bay hike. I was here all day yesterday in this area, location scouting, and I found a location way up top the mountain where I'm going. So I'll go there for sunset, and I want to get a panorama looking to the north and to Horseshoe Bay. Today it's a bit cloudy, and it looks like the clouds are starting to break towards the west, so we might get a decent sunset. But if not, the clouds should at least add a bit of atmosphere, so I should still be able to get an image. And it's not too bad of a hike up here, about 1.5 miles with a decent amount of elevation gain. Alright, so I have my camera all set up here. I've already leveled my tripod and locked in my camera with my composition. And I'm already starting to take some images just because we're getting some real nice sunlight, and the way the clouds are looking, I'm not sure if we'll get any light later. So I'm going to take these shots now while we have dramatic light on the foreground, because we still have about a half hour until sunset. But yeah, we're getting some real nice light. So I'm just doing a panorama right now. starting from the far left to the right, and my main subject is Horseshoe Bay. So I'm going to make sure to put Horseshoe Bay in the center of the image, but right now while I'm taking the pictures, I'm not too worried about putting it in the center, just because I'm going to crop the panorama later, so I just want to try and get as much of the scene as possible so I have more to work with in post when I actually edit the image. And then right now, I am getting some highlights that are blown out with no detail in them, just because I'm shooting straight into the sun, so there's really nothing I can do about it. And if I expose for the highlights, then it'd just be way too dark and it'd make the image look a little bit unnatural. So I'm fine with the highlights being blown out for this image here. And I'm just focusing just about a third of the way through because I don't have anything in the foreground. It's just the big open scene behind me. So I'm not going to be doing any focus stacking or anything like that, just making a simple panorama.